Hello. How's it going? Happy Wednesday. Wednesdays here are meditation time. So my name is Keith. Hey Brenda. Hey Rob. Nice. Great. My name's Keith. I'm your meditation teacher here on this channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Just quickly before we get started, I'd just like to explain a little bit about what we do here and kind of the approach we take to meditation. There's a lot of different ways to meditate. There's a lot of different styles and thoughts on it should be done this way and I should be seated like this and whatnot. And here, I like to take an approach that's a little bit like dabbling in a bunch of those, because everyone connects with something different, and we're all here for different reasons. Maybe you're here because you want to relax more, or you're feeling really anxious, or whatever countless other reasons that people will get into meditation. We're all here for a reason, but it's not all the same, right? And so we bounce around a lot here. Each week we will focus on a specific topic. Today's topic is on like mental resilience. But if you're brand new, maybe you're saying, I don't know what the heck's going on with meditation, period. Before I get into topics, I need the topic of what is this? I always cover that first, every class. So we will start with an introduction to meditation. What is it? How do we do it? Why does it work? Should we bother introducing this into our life? And then we'll do a little breathing meditation together. And after that, then we'll talk about our topic for today. And then we'll do another meditation that's more specifically geared towards that topic. Cool? All right. Hey, Georgette. Hey, Lucia. I'm doing good. Thanks. Hope you guys are well. Okay, so last thing is, if you do have any questions that come up, take advantage of the fact that I'm with you, sort of, and ask them. You don't have to wait for me to be like, it is Q&A time. There's not going to be like a flashing light that says it's Q&A time. It's Q&A time. There's your little flashing light. So if you do have a thought, a question, you want something clarified, whatever, feel free to type in the chat, as you see some people have already done, whenever you want, and as soon as I see it, I will respond. If for some reason you think of something after class ends, which I do all the time, so no worries there, I'm going to give everyone my email towards the end of the session, so you can email me any questions that come up. Cool? Okay. So each week we get started by looking at meditation kind of in like a 101 sense. Right? And I think the first really interesting thing to think about is, when we think about meditation, pretty much all of us have a fairly similar image that pops up. It's what I'll call like our generic image. Like if I was going to say like, think of an apple. Right? Everyone here thinks of an apple. Like, your mind like kind of brings that, it's like really quick because your mind is really powerful. So, but it's bringing to like a generic visual to you of apple. Oh, apple. And everyone's apple is going to be a little bit different, right? But they're all, apple. So with meditation, it's really interesting because, at least what I've found, and, it's true for me, and I think it's probably true for you, is that when we think of that word, immediately we picture what? Sitting on the floor, my legs are crossed, maybe my hands are like this, my eyes are closed, I look super peaceful, right? If you did Google image search, meditation, that's what comes up. Countless images of that, right? And so this is our kind of generic image of what meditation is. this is a way to meditate. You can meditate sitting on the floor with your legs crossed, eyes closed, whatever. But that is not the definition of meditation. It's not like if I don't do those things, I can't meditate, right? So what is meditation if it's not that exact practice? Meditation, at least the definition that I'll give you guys, and hopefully it rings true, is it's a technique that you use to train your mind to become familiar with stuff. Right? Which is a very weird phrase. We don't walk around saying, I'm familiarizing my mind with this movie I'm watching. It'd be kind of strange, so we don't say that. But that's exactly what our mind is doing all day long. Our mind is constantly becoming familiar with things, making connections, right? And while here we talk about mental familiarity with meditation, we can look at any type of familiarity to see the really important output of what happens when you're familiar with something, which will lead us to realize why we might want to meditate. So each one of us, we speak a language. It might not be the same one, whatever our first language is that we're fluent in, right? We're pretty good at it at this point, right? We have become so familiar with this language, we can communicate. We can have multiple conversations with people going on at the same time. We can talk while we're doing other really kind of like mechanically intense things like driving or, I don't know, rollerblading, whatever, right? Like we're so good at speaking this language that it comes like second nature to us. We don't have to really try so hard. We're not like, what was the word I should use there? Or like, oh, is that the right tense? Like we don't think about that anymore because we're so familiar with it, right? Now, if any of you have tried to learn a new language, or even if you've, back in the old school days when you took a different language, it's not that easy. Right? Like it's not like we're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna learn how to speak a different language, and then I'm having these fluent conversations, right? First, we don't know anything. Then, like we are very slowly learning basic vocabulary, and like then we have to actually apply it out in real life, and that's a totally different experience, right? And it's hard for us to remember that even with our first primary language, that was the case. We were not born knowing any language, right? That's something that we learned from our parents, teachers, television, all these different ways that we learn to speak. Right? And so what happened in between, I have no idea how to speak this language, to now where we can do it while doing other things. Practice, repetition, familiarity. So this is a snapshot into what familiarity, being familiar with something, means for us, right? And no matter what it is, the output is that it starts to come more naturally, shows up more easily. We have to put less energy into doing it, right? Riding a bike, driving a car, right? Walking. These are all other examples, right? So with our mind, it works the exact same way. So when we think about meditation, usually we get into meditation to relax, to be more peaceful. Singing, great one. Or you know what? My partner Emily, she the other day said, "You're like knowing the words to your favorite song, which is amazing, right? Like the first time you listen to it, you're like, oh, this is cool, right? And then like you listen to it again and again and again, and you're like, you can repeat this thing so easily. You can sing the different like melodies and stuff, right? The output is the same, right? It starts to come naturally to you. So with mental familiarity, which is what we talk about here, it works the same way. And when we look at meditation, often we get, people get into it to relax. Thanks, Ralph. I'll tell her. We often get into meditation to relax, right? And we think meditation relaxes me. But really, meditation is not relaxing you. It's not like if I meditate, I'm relaxed. What meditation is doing in terms of relaxation is teaching you to become super familiar with relaxed you. There is a version of you that is relaxed. It does show up from time to time. We wish it would show up more often. That's why we're here. But this version of us exists. If we're honest with ourselves, we can recall many times that relaxed us has shown up, right? And so it's with us. We don't have to go get it. It's not missing. It's there, right? This is really important because meditation teaches you to like hone in on this thing you already have. You all already have the amazing ability to be calm and peaceful and kind and all these wonderful things that we want to do. And meditation is a great way to teach you to become so familiar with those things that what happens. Just like singing your favorite song, right? It starts to come naturally. Just like speaking languages, you don't have to pay as much attention to it. It starts to become your default, right? Wouldn't that be nice? So that's the goal here, is to start to dictate what we want our mind to be familiar with for the purpose of that becoming second nature to us. And it takes time. It's a practice, right? It doesn't happen after one meditation. Just like, looking at words of a new language doesn't do much the first time, right? So that's all well and good, but how do we go about doing this thing? Meditating. So when you start learning to meditate, almost always you start with breathing meditation. Breathing meditation is just meditating where the focal point of your meditation is your breath. That's it. So all meditation more formally is called single-pointed concentration. Fancy. All that means is focusing on one thing. Now, we are not that familiar with doing that. We focus on a million things at once all day long. In fact, it's kind of encouraged, right? Like to be productive, we got to do think about as many things. I should be, working while I'm also, doing this thing over there. And so when we try to do one thing specifically, often our mind will put up some resistance. It'll be like, hey, what are we doing here? I can do a million things. Why one? Right? Hey, Zach. So with meditation, we are actively choosing to focus on one thing. And we're going to focus on it so exclusively. Like so plugged into this one thing that something really interesting starts to happen. All the other stuff, what do I got to do for work? Oh, I got this pain in my knee. All those other things that are constantly bouncing around in our mind all day long, they start to fade into the background a little bit. Very similar if you've ever been in the zone, working at something at work. You forget to eat lunch, you lose track of time, right? You don't hear the annoying noises of coworkers. We're so focused on something that there's no room in our mind for the other stuff, right? And that is a great way to relax a little bit, because our mind gets to just let go of the juggling act it's constantly doing. And it's also setting us up to be able to really learn this one thing that we're focusing on, to really experience it, to really contemplate it, right? If it's an idea or something, we can meditate on ideas. And the output here is we start to become really familiar with that thing, right? Cool. Okay. So that is what we're going to do now with breathing meditation. And it's instructionally pretty straightforward. There's 3 steps, right? Step 1 is we choose to do this thing. And I know that sounds like unnecessary. It's like, I'm here. You're like, Keith, I'm here. I'm watching. I've chosen. But our mind will occasionally, like I said, with being in the zone, accidentally meditate, right? Get into a meditative state. And we want to teach our mind that this is something that we want to do more regularly. We can do this on command. Like, it's up to us, not our mind, right? And so we're setting an intention, and all that means is just making a little promise to yourself. I'm going to focus exclusively on my own breath for the next couple of minutes, and that's it, to the best of my ability. That's it. Step 1, right? 2, we're going to do that, and I'll be leading the meditation, so you just kind of listen to what I'm saying. You're not going to be on your own, but we're going to focus on our breath exclusively. And then whenever you notice that your attention drifts a little bit, maybe it's thinking about work, thinking about an itch you have, or I don't know, you're feeling a little hungry or something like that, something that happened earlier today, whatever it is, doesn't matter. We're just going to be like, not right now. Actually, kind of like say that in our mind, not right now, to those thoughts. Those thoughts are not bad. They are just thoughts, just not now, right? And we're going to place them aside. We can even imagine ourselves placing them aside. And then step 3 is we bring our attention back to our breath, right? It's a little loop. And over time, we're going to stay with our breath a little bit more. All the other noise is going to start to fade a little bit, and we're going to relax a little bit, just a little bit, right? We're not looking for perfection here. We're just looking to experiment a little bit with this technique. Cool? Okay. Right. Lucia, that's why it's great to play with kids, because they're so in the moment. Yes, kids are a wonderful example of a like very kind of meditative approach to things, right? Oh, I'm playing with this block of wood, and it's the most interesting thing ever, and all these other people trying to get my attention can go away because, wow, this block of wood rocks. And that was us. We have that. We're all born that way. We have that ability. Over time, growing up, we kind of lose it a little bit. And so meditation is a great way to start to harness some of that. Yeah, it's a really great comparison. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to do some breathing meditation. And you may notice I'm not sitting on the floor. You can sit however you want, whatever is your favorite way to be. Maybe that's in an office chair like me. Maybe that is sitting on the floor cross-legged. Maybe it's laying down. I don't know. You got a nice comfy lazy boy. Just sit back in that thing. It doesn't matter, right? This is the beauty of meditation. It works independent of these specific external conditions, which is important. So get comfy. Go ahead and close your eyes. I'm going to guide us through about 5-minute breathing meditation. Okay. Whenever you start a meditation, take a moment and check in with yourself. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? What's my mind up to? Maybe you're happy. Maybe you're upset. Maybe you're bounding with energy. Maybe you're feeling quite tired from a long day. Whatever it is perfectly fine. We are not doing anything about it. We are just noticing. We are practicing being an objective observer of our own thoughts. This is a technique called mindfulness. It's a word you've probably heard before. Mindfulness is an active awareness of your own thoughts, moment to moment, for the purpose of being able to respond skillfully to those thoughts. And that starts with observing, checking in. So having done that, you can now make a little promise to yourself. Set an intention, and that intention is to focus single-pointedly, exclusively on your own breath for the next couple of minutes. Make that promise to yourself. And with that firmly in your mind, you can begin to do just that. Pull your full attention to your own breath, breathing in, breathing out, very gently, very naturally. You don't need to change anything about how you normally breathe here. No need to take big, deep inhales or forcefully exhale air. However you normally breathe is perfect. In and out. Gently, naturally. At some point, sometimes rather quickly, you may notice your attention drifting, even just slightly, thinking about a sound that you heard, or something you have to do later after this class ends, or something that happened earlier today at work. Whenever you notice that your mind has drifted in this way, we can just say, not right now, to those thoughts. Imagine yourself placing them aside. We will get to them later. And with those thoughts placed to your side, bring your attention back to your own breath, breathing in and breathing out gently, naturally. Single-pointedly focused on each moment of each breath. See if you can follow the journey that the air makes when you breathe. Each time you inhale, can you imagine, visualize, watch the air as it enters your body? Can you feel it filling your lungs? Can you feel your chest expanding to make room for the air? And when you breathe out, can you follow the journey of the air there as well? Can you feel your lungs compressing, contracting? Can you watch the air as it leaves your body? Watch it rejoin the atmosphere from where it came. Watch it dissipate, recycling with itself. A moment-to-moment interest, fascination even, with breathing. In and out, gently, naturally. Keep bringing your attention back to your own breath whenever you notice it drifting. It doesn't matter how many times you need to refocus. This process of choosing to concentrate single-pointedly on your own breath, noticing when your attention drifts, bringing your attention back to your breath, that is breathing meditation. Each one of you is meditating right now. You are training your mind to tap into its natural, peaceful state. You're starting to become familiar with that peacefulness. You are teaching your mind to focus on what you want to focus on. And right now, the only thing that you want to focus on is breathing in, breathing out, gently, naturally. So for the last few moments, just continue to breathe. Enjoy sitting here relaxing. No need to think about too much. Just take a little time for you. You deserve it. Okay, whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Welcome back. So that was breathing meditation. That was like a pretty, traditional is the right word, but like it's a pretty basic way to do breathing meditation, right? We're focusing on our breath, right? Sometimes that can be a bit nebulous for people, and there are other forms of breathing meditation that we do here, like counting based or something that's a little bit more visual. But all of those things are the same in terms of how, like, what they're trying to achieve, right? And the process is the same, right? So there were 3 steps. We chose to do this thing, focus on our breath. We were doing it, and then when we noticed we were no longer doing it, we put those thoughts aside and we came back, right? That over time becomes easier. Maybe you were like, wow, my mind is all over the place. It sometimes is surprising to see how difficult this pretty straightforward task can be. Like, we expect that we'll be able to do this without an issue, but we're expecting our mind to do something that it's not used to doing. Our mind is kind of like a pet, right? And we have let our pet sit on the couch for X number of years, and then all of a sudden we're like, hey, don't sit on the couch. The pet's like, why? What are you talking about? I'm sitting on the couch, right? So we have to train our mind, right? We got to be good owners, pet owners of our mind. Cool. So that's breathing meditation. And the only thing that is different between breathing meditation and meditating on literally anything else is what we're focusing on, right? So you can meditate on eating. You can meditate on an idea or a thought, right? And it's all the same structure. We choose to focus on something single-pointedly. We notice when our attention drifts, we bring it back, right? And there's a lot of interesting benefits to doing this. We start to relax. Also, we start to like maybe glean some interesting things about this object we're focusing on, right? Like with our breath, thinking about how the air travels, right? Visualizing the air, like we're noticing how our body is interacting with the air as we're breathing, right? All these very subtle things, these moments, subtle moments, we are starting to notice them because we are allowing our mind to focus, right? Those subtle moments are all over the place with everything that we do. Sometimes we miss them because our mind can only juggle so many things, right? So this is one of the really cool benefits of practicing meditations, is start to find some subtle joys and stuff. Cool? Okay. If you have any questions on breathing meditation or anything we covered, feel free to ask. I'm going to move on to a topic for today. And our topic is, there's not going to be a lot of discussion on it because I want to do a meditation that's a little bit longer than normal. And I want to be mindful of everyone's time because I often go late and I don't want to. I don't want to do that to you guys. So we're talking about this concept of being resilient. All right. And we're talking about mental resilience here, but again, like resilience is kind of resilience and it transfers pretty well. So when we think about this word, when I think about this word, there's two connotations that come up. And the weird thing is that they are totally opposite of each other, right? So the first one is like this feeling of like solidness, right? Solid, unwavering, like a rock, right? You know, like, oh, I'm determined to do this thing, and you know, things might happen, but I'm doing it. I'm resilient, right? So it's like this very kind of like heavy, like immovable, solid feeling, right? And then also, you know, I think about it and I'm like, well, but it's also fluid, right? Being adaptive, right? Like water. You know, water flows around, right? It might, you know, it's not like water's not like I'm going this way. Well, water's like I'm getting to that destination anyway. You try to block me, I'm going around, right? So this idea of being able to be flexible, adaptive, is also really important for resilience. So these two things are like opposites, which is kind of interesting. And I think ultimately what we'll get at today is that I think resilience is a combination of both of these. You need both of them to really kind of embrace like mental resilience. But let's talk about each classification, the solid and the fluid, to get an example of like, and I'm going to use the example of a meditation practice just because that's why we're here. But like the concept is, it can transfer to pretty much anything you want. Okay, so like a rock-like resilience. This is like very routine oriented, right? So like, let's say I have established a meditation routine for myself. Every morning I wake up and I meditate for 10 minutes before I eat breakfast. This is just hypothetical. I'm not saying this is what I do or what you should do. You know, and I do breathing meditation exactly like we did it. And I always do it in this particular room because it's quiet and peaceful. So that's my routine. And good for me, this is my routine. I do this every morning, right? And some days I'm tired, but this is part of my routine and I'm doing it. Some days I'm running a little late, but you know what? I'm doing it. I'll make sacrifices elsewhere, right? So this, to me, is kind of like embodying this solid, unwavering, rock-like resilience, right? This is my routine, and I do it, right? This is really important for meditation, specifically because it's how familiarity sets in, right? Like if we were like, I meditate some days, you know, or like, I'll meditate sometime today, you know, and then it's pretty easy to put that off, right? And then we're, you know, I'm too tired, I'll do it tomorrow, right? And so we can see how that kind of can cascade into something that is not very solid, something that is not consistent. And consistency is really important for working on familiarity, right? That's how familiarity comes to be, is consistent practice, right? So this rock-like resilience, this for meditation is really important. So like maybe that's the definition we should go for meditation, right? But what about the other one? So let's think about like water-like resilience. And this is like, I have a routine, great, right? And when I have a routine, it's pretty easy to be consistent. I'm familiar with it. Sometimes people, like when they work out, like they go to the gym, like they got their thing. It's not a big deal anymore. But for me, I'm like, I can't start that, So when you have your routine, it's pretty easy to be consistent, right? But what if your routine is disrupted, like permanently? Not like, I don't know, air condition went out and it's hot or something, So I'm going to use an example that actually happened with me to illustrate, I think, how mixing the water-like resilience with the rock-like resilience is equally as important, right? So I'm meditating a very long time, probably like over 15 years. Maybe, I don't know, it's a long time. And for many, 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 many years, I meditated and everything was great, right? And then I developed tinnitus. Tinnitus is ringing in the ear. I don't know if you know what that is. Or maybe it's tinnitus. I've heard it said both ways. But anyway, I don't know how I developed it. Probably from hearing. I have hearing loss because I was a musician and didn't wear earplugs. Wear earplugs. Anyway, so I get tinnitus. And as you might imagine, even if you don't have tinnitus, it's kind of sucks for meditating, because when you're quiet is when it like really kind of shows up, and it's this constant like ringing, and it's like really annoying. And when I developed this, I had a really hard time meditating, right? And I spoke to teachers about it, and I spoke to a lot of people about it, and I was just like so distraught because my routine for meditating, the thing that I had kind of like become super familiar with, like I meditate like this, and this is kind of how I feel when I do it, and this and that, like that completely changed overnight. I don't know if it was overnight, but like, it changed. And I didn't know how to deal with that. And I started to think, well, I'm not going to be able to meditate anymore, or I'm not going to be able to meditate as well. Right. And that thought was really interesting, because what was happening is I was starting to see that I was attached to a very specific output from my meditation, attached to a very specific set of conditions in which I would meditate, without sound, without, like that's how I meditated, right? And when that was disrupted, I felt like I couldn't do it anymore, right? But that's not true, because meditation does not come from silence. Like you can meditate with a jackhammer next to you, right? And so like I had really kind of blurred the lines of like I only thought I could meditate in this one way, right? And over time, I was able to get past that. I still have tinnitus, and I'm a meditation teacher, so like I'm presumably doing okay, right? It's still definitely annoying at times, but like I started to realize that I can meditate independent of whether or not there is ringing in my ear. You might not have tinnitus, but maybe you like meditating in a very specific room. and then something happens, you have to sell that apartment or house or something like that, right? Now you gotta do it in a different spot, right? Or you have kids, and now your mornings are they're accounted for, right? And now you have to, do you just like stop, or do you try to adjust? Do you adapt and start to realize that you can do this thing independent of the very specific circumstances in which we've grown to associate with meditation, right? This is like water-like resilience, right? The ability to be able to move, right? Independent of the obstacles in your way. And thanks, Tracy. I appreciate that. Yeah. And the key here is to balance both this rock-like resistance and this water. If you have just one, like I had this rock-like resilience. I keep saying resistance, resilience. And the tinnitus illuminated that I did not have the water-like resilience, right? And so that was kind of a blessing in disguise, right? It let me balance this out a little bit, right? Now, personally, I'm probably a little bit the other way. I got to get back to like being even, right? So we want to see how we can juggle rocks and water to balance it. And so we're going to do a meditation here now. It's one of my favorites. A lot of people really like it. You might have heard of it before. It's mountain meditation. It's visual. It's fun. And essentially what we're going to do is I'm going to guide us through a visualization of a mountain. And we're going to bring to mind this mountain and go through the different seasons, like literally seasons of weather and time that the mountain would experience, right? And so like right away, you might be thinking, well, we're doing solid. Mountain is solid, mountain rock, right? But yes, the mountain is like this symbol of solid, unwavering resilience, right? But also, I think you'll see when we do the meditation that what the mountain experiences is like different kind of weather and different, feelings and sounds and temperatures and whatever. And the thing that is water-like about the mountain is that it knows that even though it's winter or spring or whatever and there's snow, or like I'm still the mountain man, like I can still I'm still me. I like at my core I have these, I'm kind, I'm peaceful, right? That's like if we want to think about our mind is mountain, like our mind is peaceful, period, right? So that's like solid, but also recognizing that we can be peaceful independent of specific conditions. Whatever the weather is, whatever is going on in our life is the water, right? So let's do this mountain meditation, and we're going to try to embody both, like the solid and the fluid resilience. Cool. Okay. So if you didn't enjoy your last seated position, you can change. Get comfy, and we're going to start the same way. We're going to start with a very short breathing meditation. The reason being to, let's pacify our mind a little bit. We've been thinking a lot the last 10 minutes or whatever we've been speaking. So let's relax a little bit, and then I'm going to go into this meditation. Cool? Okay. So you can go ahead and close your eyes, get comfy. Take a moment and check in. How are you feeling? What's your mind up to? It's not a comparison. Before is done. Just now observe what your mind is up to, how you're feeling in this exact moment. And having checked in, you can set an intention again to focus on your breath for a little while, and then begin to do that. Direct your attention to your own breath, breathing in and out gently, naturally. If your attention drifts, no big deal. We can just say not right now to whatever those thoughts are. Imagine yourself placing them to the side, and then guide your attention back to breathing. In and out, gently, naturally. And check in again. And where's your attention? Is it still fully on your breath? If not, no big deal. Not right now to those other thoughts. Place them to the side. And go back to focusing on breathing in and out. Gently, naturally. As you start to settle into your seat, as you start to settle in to your own breath. So having done a little breathing meditation, maybe we've pacified the busyness of our mind, even just microscopically. We can then take advantage of this. Use our more clear mind to think about something. So I'm going to lead us through a specific type of meditation called the mountain meditation. You just kind of follow along and enjoy. I'd like you to bring to mind a mountain. Just picture it, the most majestic mountain you've ever seen. Bring it to mind. It's summertime. There's not a cloud in the sky. Deep blue with a warm yellow sun shining down on your mountain. Bring to mind this. Just picture it. We're using our imagination. And with your mountain firmly in your mind, we can start to notice some of the things that are going on. It's summertime. Life is teeming on the mountain. There is vegetation everywhere, beautiful flowers, wildlife grazing, some rivers present on the mountain, flowing heartily, the water warm. Just imagine it. As time passes, summer will give way to autumn, and with that, some changes occur. A lot of the vegetation on the mountains starting to change. Trees are changing colors. Their leaves are changing colors. Some of the wildflowers are wilting. The temperatures are cooler, occasional rains. The wildlife is preparing for hibernation. The external conditions of the mountain have changed. They are not the same as they were in summer. But if we go to the mountain's core, has anything changed? The core of the mountain is identical to how it was in summer. The change we are seeing is surface level. Autumn gives way to winter, and with winter brings some pretty harsh conditions for your mountain. Deep snows, blizzard, high winds. All of the vegetation has died. There are no leaves on the trees. The rivers have frozen. They're no longer moving. All of the wildlife has gone into hibernation. The external conditions of the mountain have changed. But at its core, the mountain itself remains exactly as it was in autumn, exactly as it was in summer. Winter gives way to spring, and with spring, we start to have the snow thaw out. Some wildlife reemerge. Vegetation grows once again. The green vibrance of the mountain is starting to return. But also in spring, we can get some pretty bad thunderstorms. And one day, a really bad thunderstorm is happening right over the mountain. And a bolt of lightning hits the side of the mountain and cracks it. A very visible wound on the surface of the mountain. Any trees that were there are no longer able to survive in this spot that was hit by the lightning. The external conditions have changed. We're showing some of the scars of changing weather. But at the mountain's core, even that lightning bolt has not changed a thing. It's still the same as it was in winter, the same as it was in autumn, the same as it was in summer, the same as it always was. We need to think about ourselves like mountains. think about our peaceful nature, our kindness, like mountains, like the core of a mountain. Some days we may be sad. Some days we may be upset. Other days very happy. This is like changing weather. But all those feelings, those mental states, those emotions, at our core, we are still this peaceful, kind, amazing person. That's how we want to think about ourselves. That's what meditation is helping us connect with. We are like mountains, solid, unwavering, but flexible enough to be able to be us, independent of what's going on in our life at that moment. This is that balance of solid resilience and fluid, adaptive like resilience. So just for the last few moments here, just sit with your mountain. Imagine that you're taking on those qualities. Okay, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Welcome back to your human form. Mountain meditation. That was it. And like, there's this tendency to be like a rock, you know? But just like being a stubborn rock is not really what the mountain is. Like, the mountain is just a mountain, unchanged by whatever's going on. It's going to be a mountain no matter if that weather's bad, if the lightning bolt has eliminated the vegetation here, whatever, right? And so I feel like this is a really nice meditation to kind of embody some of the things that we've been talking about. It's also fun. So something you could do on your own. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed today's class. Thought it was cool or relaxing or thought-provoking or any and all of the above. If you did, I encourage you to come back next week. We'll be talking about something meditation related that's not this. I don't know what it is. I usually figure it out a couple days before. So come on back. I hope to see y'all all next time. I'm going to give my email to everyone now. It is keith@meditationbreaks.com. Typing. That's my email. Email any questions that come up as you're trying to meditate on your own. Maybe you forgot about something we talked about. Also, if you're like, hey, I think this is cool. I like meditation. I would like to do some private instruction. I also do offer that. If that is something you're interested in, I do encourage you to reach out to me. You can email me and we'll find a time to do it. Unless you happen to be in the Colorado area, I do it all virtually. It's very laid back, and it's a great way to really focus on what you want to get out of meditation. Cool. Let me just catch up. Rosa, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Norma, thank you. Brenda, you got lost in your breath, Norma. Wow. That's a really beautiful way of kind of illustrating like what meditation feels like. I like that. Get lost in your breath. Exactly. This is exactly what you want. Brenda, Janice, good to see you again. Lucia, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the meditation. Patrick, always great to see you. Georgette, same. Thank you guys for being here. Y'all are the best. And I hope to see you all next week. Have a wonderful rest of this week being a mountain. I'll see you next time.